me, why is it you wanted to be on this panel? But first, introduce yourself.
Hi, Room. My name is Dr. Anámika Datta. I was a former product manager at Zalando, and today I have my own company which helps other companies understand their artificial intelligence needs. I want to be on this panel because I feel that the topic is so relevant to us, and I bring with me the mixture of combining customers, technologies, and business, which I feel are very, very important to look into whenever we look into things into the future.
Where do we find Generation Z and the Alpha generation? We find them on social media. So if we're finding them on social media, that's where we're going to get them to buy, isn't it?
Exactly.
So, and then live commerce is like a complete dark art. So I hope that you're able to educate me on that one.
Well, if you look in the panel, you've got one of them right here.
Sorry?
I'm one of the Gen Zs.
You're Gen Z, brilliant. So anyone else Gen Z here? No, millennials. Don't even ask about me. And please introduce yourself as well, and why you're here and what you want to gain from today.
Thanks, Angela. So my name is Amelie Arras. I'm Sales and Marketing Director at Zumo. We are a cryptocurrency platform. So my responsibilities at Zumo is to make sure that I'm identifying the trends and making sure that we are going ahead with the trends. So Gen Z on this panel, and actually is Gen Z, how the generation affect commerce, is one of my topics that I love to talk about.
And one we're all fascinated about, especially in PR. We're constantly breaking down, into understanding what each of the generations' buying behaviours are, where we need to find them, what their sort of influences are, so I'm really keen to hear what you have to say. Now if I move over to Michael here. So Michael.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Michael. I'm a software engineer, and I've mostly worked in fintech and payment industry over the past 10 years. I think being on this panel for me is important because not only am I a technology enthusiast who has worked on social media platform and again payments, but I have Gen Z families around me, and I see how they use social media, and I see the trend also changing in terms of my mother, for example, would not buy something on social media, or at least I believe, but my cousins, on the other hand, would use social media, find the product. Even my wife use social media, find the product, send to me, and then buy. So yeah, I think it's becoming more and more important, the role of social media in terms of commerce.
It really is. I mean, my son's 18, and he gets all his fashion advice, and his recipes for that matter. Yeah. He's always cooking these weird and weird things. It's all from TikTok, so we need to be there, don't we?
Yeah.
And finally, last but not least, and you're representing Meta, aren't you?
Yeah, I work with Meta.
So we're going to be talking about the challenges that social media companies are facing.
That's correct.
Fantastic platforms, huge, members or audience levels, like globally. But there's a lot of challenges that you guys need to overcome.
Yeah.
And finally, last but not least.
Hey everyone, my name is Ivan. I'm representing Bumble today as a payment fraud lead. So for someone who's not familiar with what is Bumble, it is dating applications. So I also wasn't very familiar with the product when I joined the company because I met my wife 15 years ago in person. That's dramatically changed everything right now nowadays. Everything online, payments online, fraud happens online. I'm going to today speak about fraud prevention as well because I'm very passionate about fraud prevention, about payment areas. I'm here for about 12 years right now. And I have a small hobby of podcasting about fraud and speaking with industry leaders about what we see with the new generation, what we see with the payments and going scale up of the solutions. So I hope I'm able to share some knowledge that's going to be beneficial for everyone today.
I'm sure you will. Absolutely sure you will. So let's start with you, because we're all interested in sort of the advancing social media and live commerce and understanding it. But we want to understand how the different generations interact on these channels, or if there is a difference. I mean, I'm one of the older generation. I love social media. I'm on it all the time. I'm hours on my phone daily from the minute I wake up to not. But I obviously I'm not a digital native. So what are you finding? You know, tell us about the different generations and what they do.
So each generation have got different behaviors, obviously. Like the next generation that will be extremely relevant in the commerce space is the generation Alpha. So every week there is 2.5 million people that are born in that generation. It is one that will be like the largest generation. They're right now, they're about 14 at the max at the moment. And this generation is already embedded within anything that is digital. They are already interacting with finance and with building themselves businesses into their digital experience. So a practical example is Roblox, which is a game that has taken over and that is capturing this generation. In Roblox right now, you as a kid playing, you can sell the game in-app to other users and earn what's called Robux. The Robux then can be exchanged either for real money if you've got about 100,000 of these Robux, or you can use these Robux in-app to then like buy other things, like to build up like new games and experiences. So this generation is coming in with a knowledge already of, okay, I can have some of my real money and go then after on spaces such as social media and spend through social media, sometimes with the parental agreement, or sometimes just going without this. So this generation is now they live and breathe digital. They are in the social space. They are very prone to any culture. They are prone to culture. Apologies, my train of thought just here. I just gone.
Okay. So they're prone to different cultures? Are they prone to sort of being impacted by the culture of social media and who they're interacting with?
Exactly, and they are very interested into. They have been brought up by millennials, so like they are mimicking a lot of the millennial. They call also like the millennium generation. So what they do is that they are taking some of like the behaviors that the millennial would have. Millennial typically would have behavior in terms of like they are going to be researching extremely well a product before they buy it in order to make sure that their children have got the best product. So that comes into like there is a whole selection process that goes through it. Whereas the Gen Z experience the Gen Z generation are more impulsive buyers. So an example of this is going on social media, for example, on Instagram, let's say. You see Instagram, you see an ad, and boom, you click, you buy. Impulsive buying is extremely driven. It is a characteristic of a Gen Z, which we are not yet to see if the Alpha generation will be having the same trait, because they have been educated by parents who are a ton more selective about the product that they buy. So there is still a question at the moment, will they be more prone to advertising, or will they have more brand loyalty compared to, for example, Gen Z, they have got a bit less brand loyalty than the generation Alpha. Another example also of the type of, I'd say like live experience, live commerce that are going on social media that is typically aimed at Gen Z is on TikTok. You can go and do some live commerce here. So a brand would be hiring a micro influencer or any type of like people who will be selling, and they will set themselves and they will be presenting the product. And this is how like this brand is working. This is how, please purchase this. And this is how then some people are buying directly from TikTok, which I think is something that you've seen as well, right?
Absolutely.
In this space.
I mean, I also like study Gen Z because I am them. And also, it's so relevant. $360 billion live with Gen Z. That's a lot of money. And they are basically, like you said, doing a lot of, they're following micro-influencers, which have between 1,000 and 100,000 followers. They're not very wide as compared to every other celebrity, but they go very deep. And that shows in conversions.
And I guess some of them are micro-influencers themselves because it's a job. It wasn't a job.
It wasn't a job before.
It wasn't a job, say, 15, 20 years ago. It's now like a lot of people, that's their ambition, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And they are very, very intentful about it. They will create very deep relationships, and you can see that in conversion because do you know the normal social media conversion, normal e-commerce conversion rate, fashion, beauty, do you know what percentage that is?
No, what is it?
It's 2.5% to 3%. So that means that between 2.5% to 3% of the people who will see a product will buy it on e-commerce traditionally. But with influencer marketing and with live purchase and like impulse buying, it is 30%, up to 30%. In fact, 2016 is when China, Alibaba launched their first live shopping experience. It was such a hit that Douglas from Germany followed them up, and they had a shopping conversion of 40%.
Why do you think that is? I mean, I must admit, when I'm looking for things online, I can be a bit going from price to price for a product.
Yeah.
But it can be incredibly boring, and half an hour's gone, and I've wasted, half an hour of my life when I could have been doing something different. So it's entertaining, isn't it?
It's entertaining, it's immersive, it's gratifying, and this instant gratification, which we are so happy with today. This is fulfilled here. You spend half an hour searching for something and you find the best product. That's very gratifying as well. But when Tommy Hilfiger did their live shopping stream, there were 14 million people watching, and they sold 1,400 hoodies. Yes. Imagine how much time that took.
I'm thinking quick, but tell us.
My numbers tell me it was 2 minutes. 1,400 hoodies sold in 2 minutes.
Well, I think it sort of goes with your point that you made, which Gen Z are pretty impulsive, aren't they? You know, that dopamine hit, that's what they're looking for, and they're looking for it now. And I think I have to, I no disrespect, my son's 18. I know a lot of his friends, obviously, around our house all the time. There is an element of they've had it better than their parents, and their parents have provided them everything. And not always, and I think for that reason, they're used to getting what they want anytime, any place, anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what social media affords.
I think you're right there. I think that availability and accessibility certainly plays a factor. But another thing that we have to look into is it's making more sense. The context that the social media micro-influencers can provide.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to buy something because they're showing you how to use the product. They're using it themselves. They're talking to you. You've connected with them already. So the reason for shopping, the barricades have gone down. The reasons for shopping have increased. So they don't need to spend all that time cold researching something when it's already organically made available to them.
So what you're saying is it's in context.
Exactly.
So my Dyson Airwaves that I bought, that I spent £500
Good choice, by the way.
that I still can't use, I've gone on to all the tutorials online to try and use this thing. But it was why I bought it. I bought it because of all of the, like you say, all the interaction that you get from watching, can I get those waves? She can do it, and it didn't take her long. So I agree, it's so informative, to multimedia rather than just, reading or static images.
When you go shopping with your friends, you end up buying more than when you sit alone at home and shopping, which is about 50% more. So this is almost like shopping with your friend.
Cool. You wanted to say something, didn't you?
I was going to say, this technique that we see, on TikTok, selling live, is only a replication to what previous generation have had with TV. So here's like a different medium. So on TV before, you could have like this, you could tune on
QVC,
channel.
yes.
Yeah, you could tune on channel, and then you would see that person showing that beautiful. I was
Mars or something really hideous that you end up buying.
Here we go,
Yeah.
and showing how it works. Now, like this concept have changed and shift onto newer platform. And this buying behavior has gone from like a generation to another. So, for example, boomer, and like, I remember, like, for example, like my grandmother watching this type of program, picking up the phone where you could buy. Now you're on TikTok, you're just seeing it, and it is not even the friction on there anymore. It is just a button. But that comes with a lot of like challenging, I'm sure,
It's
for
really
big
cool.
retailers.
I mean, in saying that, my mother's in her 70s and she still uses TV, shopping TV, because she can't use the internet. So let's just for a minute take a pause and think of those people that are digitally excluded, because they are there. I know it's hard to believe, but you know, there are still people out there using it, but it's obviously it's dying. And what we're seeing now is this instant entertainment through the internet.
I like that you said TV, because the TV was introduced as a product, and it became a platform for selling things. The same thing is happening with the phone. The smartphone introduced as a product has become a platform. Apple Vision introduced as a product have become a platform. I think my smartwatches are trying to sell me things right now.
Yeah.
And so is my Alexa, my Siri. Voice-based shopping, voice-based searching constitutes about 10 to 20% of all interactive shopping right now. Something to invest in, because very, very few marketplaces have actually prepared themselves technologically to be on the top of the search results when somebody's shopping via voice. So this is something, if we nail this, we can actually really get to the top really fast in the future. And another thing, games, which were packaged as a product, have now become a platform themselves. So there are, in the UK today, if my statistics are right, about 33% of gamers are introduced to new brands via the video games that they play. So you've seen the brand collaborating.
It's moved, hasn't it, from buying avatars or buying credits to now buying the products that your avatars are wearing, or the holidays that your avatars are going on.
Correct. And not just for avatars, real-life products as well. The propensity to buy real-life products has gone up from, I think there was no products available before, but now Disney and I think that the Disney is the best example, that they brought up about 21% of new products are being sold through games by gamers, real products.
Really, it's amazing. Really is. I've got these horrible thoughts of, again, my son who's not here, he's getting a real bashing, isn't he? Being on FIFA and spending a fortune, and because at the time I'd put my credit card details in, the bill came in and it was £250. I said, what on earth have you been doing? So this goes over to you, really, to talk about some of the challenges, you know, that social media companies, but also, I guess, the challenges of live commerce and social media. Like, you know, you guys, you know, you've got this grand population, all, you know, you're bringing together communities globally, making conversation and connection so much easier, but also, you know, all of these technological things that we want to do and, you know, are brilliant, but you're left holding the baby often.
Yeah.
So, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, some of the challenges and maybe how you overcome some of those as well.
Yeah, so just before I go into that, if you combine what they've both said in terms of how you find products to buy before you have to go to maybe Amazon or go to a physical store where you want to buy something. But now, wherever you are most likely using social media, and as you're scrolling, a product comes up, right? Even though we call it impulsive buying, before it used to be, I want to search for this thing and then I find it. But right now, I'm just doing something and then it comes to me and then I buy. Now, the implication of this is that it increases the volume of commerce, right? That's going to go up a lot. And this is me going into what possible challenges this might bring, right? There have been several sessions today that I've talked about the different things like fraud and challenges that comes with payments and commerce in general. Now, imagine all of this coming from merchants direct to a marketplace like, say, Facebook Marketplace or Instagram, the company, the entity handling that. There would be a lot of things like, there will be chargebacks. How do we handle chargebacks? If I buy something on live and I don't get it or I don't like it or something like that, there will be the increase in volume would mean increased costs for the company to be able to handle that load. Of course, we already have billions of daily active users, but payments in itself, commerce in itself would add additional computational cost, right? So that alone, even the chargeback I talk about, or other things that needs to be handled, would mean extra, overhead in terms of employees that need to be undo those things within the company. So it's more or less like a social media company would then, in addition to being a social media company, also undo things that payment companies and merchants are handling, and that's going to be extra overhead for those. And like I said, one of those things is fraud. How would they handle fraud? Like, I'm sure you are more of an expert in that line. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say though, you were saying about the extra cost to manage these things.
Yeah.
You always have had a problem. The social media companies have always had a problem with monetization. Everyone joining the channel, but how do you make money out of them? Because they're all using it for free. But this poses a perfect opportunity for you actually to start to make money, because by doing live commerce on your sites, this is your sort of moment, isn't it? There's the advertising sales, and then there's the actual e-com sales or retail sales, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so I don't remember who mentioned TikTok and the live sales on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at that, in China, this is happening a lot. Like there's heavy volume. In Europe, on the other hand, it hasn't really taken off as it has in China. Again, this goes back to maybe consumer behaviors and all that. Maybe they have more Gen Z or people who are more social media inclined,
Well, WeChat had payments from the beginning, didn't it? I don't know if that was, one of the reasons why. I mean,
I think it's also dependent on, like, the consumers. Like, are they willing to spend money on social media platforms? And I believe that, again, like we said, Gen Z, as time goes on, we would see. So a number of social media companies have, we see Twitter actually tried live commerce. They maybe temporarily, I don't know, shut it down, right? The reason for that, most likely, coming to your question or comment about how they would make money, a lot of companies would rather focus on bigger cash cows. So right now, if I'm a billion-dollar company, right, and I release a product for live commerce, and at the beginning, it's making just millions, I need to look at the cost of, and this is just me throwing out numbers, I'm not saying, because commerce is very big, it's definitely more than millions, but if customers are not really spending on that platform, right, then not all payments in commerce comes to your platform. So if that's not making a lot of money, again, there's a lot of different opinions as to maybe why Twitter or Instagram shops was shut down, but I think it wasn't just the right time for them to try. The kind of opportunities to make money in commerce for social media companies are maybe interchange fees and all of that. I've worked with issuers and companies that make those kind of money, and maybe for a company like Meta, where quarterly revenue is like 32 billion or something in that range, they might be quick to say, you know what, this is not yet it's not yet the primary focus for us, but definitely is something that would be there in the pipeline.
It's something for us to watch in the industry. We do often in, the sort of payments industry, we talk about the fear of the big techs.
Yeah.
And, especially the likes of Apple, and, who they'll cut out of the chain. But the day that, Facebook or Meta gets into it in a big way, I think, we do need to worry.
I think as a payment company, I would be more scared of Apple, because they're really penetrating into several parts of payments.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And the other thing that's important that you spend your day and night thinking about, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
is fraud. And in live, real-time situations, fraud is easier because there's that instantaneous decision. There's no comeback from it. And also, social media, there's impulse buying and buyer's remorse taking place left, right, and centre. So, you get people then wanting, sort of trying to find a way to get out of that purchase. And also, of course, in your environment, we won't go into that, but Bumble is ultimately it's a social media site, isn't it? You could argue a matchmaking site, and there's sort of other types of third-party fraud that takes place there. So, what kind of challenges do you face, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, for sure. I want to touch a bit every aspect that we already spoke. So we started from generation. And it's quite interesting how the fraudsters quickly adapt everything to know about generation better than everyone who started working in the industry. They know younger generations. They're easy to share more information, posted everything online. They're easy to spot where they live, how they move around. It's actually scary time happens around. That's new generation TikTok posted where they live without afraid that someone coming to their houses. It's like fascinating how no one educate younger generation that it's going to be actually a problem in the future terms. And when we speaking about selling something online, it was very quick, something selling online. And we need to know that fraudsters who realize, okay, these particular products, they can buy it much quicker and create bigger statistics for this spend time on the site and resell it somewhere on eBay and three times a higher price rather than original one. So they already hear, they already know how it works. They escalate the chargeback afterwards. At the end, for them, product it's not cost anything. They're only getting profit. And when we speak about gaming industry, I believe it's huge industry with they're creating fake accounts. They try to bargain some of the things online, as you mentioned on FIFA, for example. So you buy something, you're able to send it over to someone else. So this someone else is not real, collaborate with the person, getting the product and never sending anything back. At the end, what we get? Escalation to the FIFA that someone stole something from my account, not sending me money. FIFA say we are not represent this opportunity for the markets. So it's additional part of another side of the coin that's bring us to understanding that fraudsters, they know everything how it works, and AI allows them to scale up all the solutions. They already have thousands of credit cards that's compromised over several years. They know how they work. They know alternative payment methods which are supposed to be paid immediately, and they're using this approach for starting to get money faster and expecting some companies to pay out them immediately rather than send over money in the next week or in the day after. So and they start to argue for a company to say we expect instant payouts, create public issue, and the company realize, yeah, we need to pay out them at the end, it's fraud. So it's quite interesting area right now. I believe everyone aware that's a scalable solution. And you mentioned Apple, which is posted last week some interesting approach that in 2023, they're preventing losses of fraud on 3 billion, which for Apple size is not that big. However, if you're looking at small merchants, it's tremendously amount of money that's preventing. And Apple, as a huge company, they sometimes don't care about false positive. That's create these statistics even more questionable. Is it bigger or smaller amounts? So we never know. Scale up of the payments with new technology and new generations, it's kind of tricky approach that we're going to face in near future with some problems, as I expected.
Well, generative AI can be used as a force for good to fight fraudsters like you are, but it can also be used as a force for not so good, and where there's, as Jeremy King said, there's no rules in organised crime.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, it's always been the case that how do you fight people that are not following any regulation, legislation, any rules of any description? You just need to be constantly, you know, well, you'll always be in a job. Let's put it that way. You were saying, we're coming nearly to an end of our session, but you were saying about AI and live commerce.
Absolutely.
So just give us a little bit of a flavour of what you're doing in that area.
For sure. I mean, we know that we live in an age where everybody wants to do something with AI, and that's good.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between AI and Gen AI, and this is a basic fact that a lot of companies, a lot of people don't really know a lot about where to invest and when to invest. So let's talk about the conversational AI, which means we are combining conversation with AI, and then if we add commerce to it, that's almost like an interactive live shopping experience. Your micro-influencer doesn't have to be a real person anymore. It could be an AI-generated online gamer, virtual avatar who will sell you stuff. Now, that's very powerful, and that's very advanced. It doesn't happen yet. But what companies need to realize more and more is that, A, they may not be ready for this right now, because you spoke about scale. This is where you start to want to start doing things with Gen AI, because scale means you can't hire as many people or as many influencers as you would like. A lot of companies are not there yet. So they will invest time, money, and try to do something with AI, which will cost them a lot. So they need to understand if they're ready or not. They need to understand the ethics of it, which you spoke about as well. How do we know, right, if somebody's creating fraud or not? They need to understand whether there's a desirability in the market, if the use case is right or not, and if it's feasible for them, whether they have the right team, right? We have to really make sure that if that is the vision, then the companies educate themselves, and that's what I do. Actually, I help them with that. And it's really important for us to cover these 4 aspects, even so that we can prevent fraud, we can get the maximum ROI, we can sell what is right to the right people, and we can use Gen AI in a way that makes sense when we start to scale.
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind.
That's very interesting. Like, I'm just like taking on your point. Always remember who you are selling to,
Yes.
and what your vision is, because like it's not increasingly, it's always been extremely important, but right now with the amount that you could put into developing to make sure that you're using conversational AI, for example, is that really what, at the end of the day, your customer or your future customer will be interacting with?
Yeah.
There is a need, like, I think, like, depending on like what you're selling to, like the big challenge is how do you cater for a wide range of generation right now. If you want to cater for your generation Alpha, your generation Z, your millennial, and your boomer, then your millennial might be wanting to interact with a real person.
Yeah.
So in that specific case, you chat with AI,
Yes.
have a button, I want to chat with a real
The
human.
real person.
Because you will have this wide range that might interact, might not interact.
Yeah.
And having this will enable you with data, obviously, to identify what works best for your customers.
Make your point, but then we've got to finish,
last.
because we're actually 5 minutes
It's
over.
just a question for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, including us and all of you. When was the last time you were actually happy with a chatbot? You didn't want to, like, come on, let me talk to a real person.
Yeah,
right? This is just insane. Sometimes they're so bad. We're still not there.
Guys, this has been a great session, a very unexpected one for me. If any of our audience wants to talk to the panel afterwards, I'm sure you'll be at the drinks, won't you? Thank you very much. I've learned a great deal from you all. If you could go up and get your mics off for the next group, that would be brilliant, and I'll start to introduce the next group. Thank you so much,
Angela.
guys.
Thank you.
Woo!